So a lot of people seem to think that it takes years to develop good social skills, especially if you're someone who is naturally more reserved or introverted. And I would put myself in that category just for your information. But honestly, if you really put your mind to this, if you really just focus and practice on this and nothing else, you can become very, very good very fast in a very short amount of time. Especially if you know these shortcuts that not many other people know about. So in this video, I'm going to teach you 3 social habits that I used to go from a shy guy, someone who was very reserved, to pretty much feeling comfortable in any social situation and having like a lot of confidence in my social skills. So habit number 1 is warming up socially. Not a lot of people know about this. This is something that I use every single week. And I don't tell people, but you know, this genuinely has changed my life. So when I was younger, in my teenage years, you know, I didn't have a lot of friends. I kind of kept to my small group, my small circle in school. But as I kind of got to like 17, 18, I made friends with some like cool people. And they knew lots of people from like other schools and stuff, and they were going to loads of parties. And they started inviting me along to these parties. But bear in mind, I'd come from like a different place than they had. I hadn't had all these like social experiences up to that point. So going into these environments, these parties filled with people that I don't know, girls, these high pressure social environments, I was like a fish out of water. I'd walk in just feeling so anxious, so self-conscious, stuck in my own head, and almost just like observing that everyone else seemed to be on like a different energy level to me. Everyone else seemed like really hyped, happy to be there, just kind of like, just very comfortable being in that environment, whereas I couldn't have felt any further from that. And I'd look at my friends and I think like, you know, why can't I be like you? Because they were very comfortable like talking to new people, and like not only that, they were comfortable just like being loud and having people notice them in that environment. Whereas like when I walked into these places, I remember I was just like trying to go unnoticed. I kind of just be like standing on the edge of my friends' conversations, just kind of being like the background guy. But what I never realized was, you know, this is nothing wrong with me. It's all about the fact that I was on just the wrong energy level compared to other people. Like some people, extroverts, they're always on like this level of energy. They've always got this like appetite for socializing. But if you're a bit more introverted, we can get there too. We can get there to the point where like we have a lot of energy and, you know, socializing doesn't feel like so much effort. But we've just got to work our way up. So this is how I came up with the idea of like a social warm-up. And like I learned this idea from this YouTuber called Nicoletti. And basically he said that when you're going into like one of these like really high pressure social environments, like imagine a party, or it could be like a networking event, somewhere where like the expectation is on you to talk and, you know, be very social. What we need to do is like work our way up to that in small stages. So we need to like rack up these easy wins. So for me, what does this look like? So say I know I'm going to a party later on this evening. What I will do first is I will imagine I'm walking down to this party. I'll have a phone call with a friend or my brother, just to kind of like get myself in like a more social mood. Because, you know, so many of us, we kind of like go the entire day just without like speaking to anyone. So this is just a way of like almost hearing my voice, getting used to the sound of my own voice. So I'll have like a phone conversation with my brother, or, you know, like a close friend, someone that it feels really easy to talk to, just to like warm up. Sometimes if there's no one to talk to, bro, I'll just have like a fake phone conversation. Because I can be like walking through like a public place and no one can tell the difference. So just have like a fake phone call. And that is enough just to get the ball rolling. Then after, what I'll do is I'll go into any shop and I'll go and buy something small. Like I'll buy like a packet of gum, something cheap. just so I have the excuse to talk to the cashier. And when I get to the counter, I'll ask 2 questions. I'll say, how is your day going? And have you had any interesting customers? Just something small, just to get a little back and forth going with a stranger. And by the time I've done that, I'm already feeling like more energetic, more social. Now the final part is key, very crucial for me. So many people, they'll beat themselves up once they get to the environment where there's loads of people, because they feel awkward about like going and saying hi to all of the different people in the group. I feel awkward about that too. I don't like doing introductions. It feels like a lot at once. So generally what I will do is, either if I'm going with other people, I'll find one of my friends and just have like a quick conversation with him. Just like a 5-minute conversation, just warming me up to that like final level. Or I'll just like try and speak to one stranger before I like go and start introducing myself to like that larger group. And generally by the time I've done that, I'll start feeling like pretty good. I'll be in like a much better mood. Trust me, like this is something you just have to like believe me. Once you try this out for yourself, you will notice the difference. You'll feel like 10 times more at ease going into that environment, even having done like one of these little warm-ups. And I do this every time I've got to go and do something, like if it's like meeting up on a night out or a party, or like, you know, some kind of just any environment where I'm expected to kind of perform socially. So I hope that makes sense. So number 2 is involving people on the fringes of the group discussion. So when I was younger, I can't tell you how many times I tried to kind of initiate conversations, again, at social events like parties, with people who I didn't know. Like I'd say to myself, you know, I'm determined this evening to get around some new people, because what I always do is I just hang around my friends. I don't experiment socially. And then at the end of the night, I'm annoyed because it feels like I'm the only person who hasn't made new friends. But when I do this, I go up to like groups and I'd stand on the edge, kind of like waiting for the right moment to introduce myself. And I'd just get ignored. I'd just kind of be standing there like waiting for them to acknowledge me. And sometimes these people are like, they go on with their conversation for like 2 minutes before they even like look at me. And they know I'm there, and it just kind of feels like shit. Like I'm not entitled to anyone's time or attention. Like, don't get me wrong, it's their choice. Maybe these aren't the kind of people I should be giving my attention to. But sometimes there'll be situations where like they did acknowledge me, but then they're not really including me in the conversation. It's like, I feel like that's kind of common courtesy. This is just how I'm looking at it from like the place of a guy who, you know, I used to be like really, really shy. But that doesn't mean I don't have something of value to add. You know, no one has to include me in the conversation, but you know, it would have been like a really nice gesture. So I didn't complain about it too much at the time, but what I said to myself was, when I'm in that position, you know, when I can see someone who is kind of on the edge of a group, or they're not really that involved in the discussion, maybe they're looking a bit like nervous or uncertain, I'm going to go out of my way to include them. You know, I'm going to be the guy that I wish was there for me. If you go out of your way to do that, if you like make an effort to ask them questions, don't just like, you know how you can kind of be having a good conversation with one person, everyone else just gets ignored. Make an effort, go out of your way to ask this other person questions. Anyone on the fringes, give them your attention. Even if they come across as like a little bit shy. Like, I'm an introvert. I know better than ever that, you know, small talk isn't exactly where introverts thrive, but once we get onto the right topic, they can be like the most interesting person you talk to all night. And it's just about kind of getting to that point with them. And honestly, it's just common decency, isn't it? But it can go such a long way. Like, I know, and you'll probably know this as well, it can honestly just make your entire evening, someone kind of giving you that special attention. So that's just something to keep in mind. And the third habit is talking to one stranger every single day. Man, I remember like being in this position where I knew I wanted to expand my social life, and I was super socially anxious and I didn't want it to stay that way my whole life. And I'd watch these challenges online, like YouTube videos of these guys, like, you know, there's like rejection or like exposure therapy videos where they have to like speak to 100 strangers in one video. And I always thought that looked like fun but kind of scary. And I never got around to doing it until I decided that instead of doing like 100 strangers, why don't I just set myself the task of doing one? Maybe like 1 or 2 a week. And that's how it was at the beginning. And we always have this belief that, you know, people we don't know, especially just like in these videos, it's just like randoms on the street. Like, let's be real. You kind of have this belief that people just don't want to talk to you. People are minding their own business, you know. They don't want random guys coming up to them and bothering them. Sometimes it can be the case. But when I started doing this, I kind of believe that I just get fucking rejected every time. I've been doing this a year now, approaching one stranger every single day. It's given me fucking superpowers, man. Like, you would not believe the difference this has had on my life. And I can say to this day, I've never been rejected. I've never been properly rejected. I've done this every single day. Sometimes in like the same situations you'll see on these videos. Talking to just random people on the street, or I'm waiting somewhere, striking up a conversation with the guy next to me whilst, you know, I'm on the train platform or I'm waiting for the bus. On occasion, people will kind of be like, you know, look like they don't really want to talk. I've never had someone tell me to fuck off or like been rude to me. I've never been like flat out rejected. And what I have learned is that, well, a couple of things. First of all, people are so much more open than you think. Even in this country, which, you know, the UK has a reputation for being a little bit cold. And I've got buddies who tried this in places like Eastern Europe, where like it really does have that reputation. People are so much more friendly and willing to engage in just like fun little conversations, or just have a laugh, have a joke, than you think. You know, I've had so many wholesome encounters. Just, it can be any situation. Let's say I'm waiting in line for coffee. I'm in the elevator. I'm at the train station. I'm on public transport, speaking to the person sitting next to me. It doesn't have to be like some life-changing conversation. It can be as little or as much as you make of it. But even just having like making a 10-second joke to the person next to me, or paying a compliment or asking them a question. What book are you reading? I like your shoes today. You know, I like that belt you're wearing. I don't have to come out of it with like a new best friend, but just getting out of my comfort zone. It's taught me that most people are so much more willing to engage. And, you know, we all have this belief that we're going to get rejected, but could not be further from the truth. And it's given my brain that live feedback that actually, and it meant so much when I was socially anxious and I couldn't talk to people. Having that live feedback that, you know, I'm normal. Actually, I can navigate social situations and be successful. It's such a good foundation to build on, man. Whether it's like a 10-second conversation, a minute, 2 minutes, anything. Speak to one person a day. It will fucking change your life. One stranger. The person you're getting coffee from. You know, I don't know, you're at work, you see someone who you've never spoken to before. Just going over and introducing yourself. It's so life-changing, man. Honestly. That's the video. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.